She was just 36 years old. Well, joining me now to reflect on Princess Diana, her life and her death, are Hayley Palmer, who's an entertainment reporter. Good morning. Good morning. And Andrew Eborn, a president of Octopus TV. I'll leave it for you to work out which one's which. Maybe you can figure it out. Andrew, good to see you again.
Good to see you
As
again.
ever, we've shared a studio before.
Queen of the night is right.
Yes.
Well, that's
we're
very
excited
kind
to be
of you.
here at this time.
Yeah, I know. Who else could come in but you two? On the front.
And that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think this is what they talk about. And her brother, Charles Spencer, talked about it was ironic that she was called Diana, the goddess of hunting.
Yeah.
Because she was the most hunted person probably in the modern world. And that was the issue. So being chased by the paparazzi virtually every day, with newspapers willing to pay crazy amounts of money just for that shot, was ultimately what led to her tragic end. Well, there are a couple of things on the note that you talk about, because she wrote this note. I think it was Paul Burrell who released it, predicting an accident. I know, a royal shocker, the butler, and it was predicting that she was going to have a car accident at the hands of her husband, so that it would pave the way for her to him to marry Tiggy, which is the nanny for William and Harry, and that was looked at. All these conspiracy theories were looked at by John Stevens.
But he was always in love with Camilla. He wasn't.
Well, that's the thing, and that was what the note said, is Camilla's just a diversion. Now, I think the problem is that Diana was surrounded with, embraced in, engulfed even in paranoia. And part of
she wasn't well.
She wasn't well. She had lots of issues, which she spoke about very publicly, and one of the first royals to speak about publicly, which helped a lot of people as well. But also she was deceived, and that came out very recently when we were talking about the Martin Bashir interview.
Shocking.
The scandal about that.
Yeah.
And Tiggy was the nanny. She's just been awarded a substantial sum of money because of the deceitful lies that the BBC told, because they said that she was having an affair with Charles, and actually worse than that, she was pregnant with his child and had an abortion. God. Now, Diana went to her grave believing that lie and believing that she was betrayed by the people really close to her. And that is probably the biggest scandal of all. The BBC have paid substantial damages to Tiggy. They paid substantial damages to...
That's our money.
Well, there we go. But that's the problem.
Yeah.
And you sort of look at that sort of basis. So when you're talking about those sort of issues and the conspiracy theories, that's what they looked at. That was one of the things. She was fed that lie. And Lord Stevens, he looked at all these lies. He produced a 871-page report. It cost millions to go through all these different theories, look at was she pregnant? No, she wasn't, is what he said. Was the paparazzi, was there a conspiracy? Was Duke of Edinburgh was accused of doing it, MI5 and all that sort of stuff. They looked at every single allegation.
Yeah, I mean, one of the headlines...
Meghan was saying in Just Today, really bringing it up today...
Talking absolute...
Well, but it's important to call it out, because they used to do all of that.
They used to, but they can't do it anymore.
And now they have it. The agreement with the press, to just be really, really clear on this, the agreement with the press is you do it on day one, here's a little photo op, and then leave them alone for the rest of the term.
Yeah.
Meghan saying they would be mobbed every single day, and it just would not happen. And you make a really good point, because what was extraordinary, originally she was like a clothes horse.
Yeah.
And from the initial dress with
the way she dressed
with the manual and so on and so forth. But she was given her voice, and part of the reason she spoke to Andrew Morton in that revelationary book is to turn around and say, look, I've got a story to tell. And that whole sort of thing that led to the Martin Bashir interview and so on and so forth, about when she famously said there were 3 of us in this marriage. That sort of bombshell interview, looking at that sort of stuff. She felt her side of the story is not being heard.
Because she was the first...
From the titillation and the scandal. And that's why I say the real legacy is that tremendous. And people don't remember that it was, April 1987 was when she went into that hospital with the AIDS victims.
I mean, I think that was extraordinary.
And at the time, we had that horrible things on television. You remember the big icebergs? You remember that?
And the
You're going to die, and the tombstone, and it was all unclean. And so
people were dying.
Yeah, they were.
In
their
hundreds,
But there was ignorance.
Yeah.
Ignorance and fear is the worst combination of all. And people had no idea how you could catch it. So they assume if you touch or you go in the same room or anything like that. So Diana to her credit,
I mean,
helped get rid of all that stigma. So look at the good side. Forget the tittle-tattle, forget the scandal and everything else, and what the pages love to sort of look at. But look at that good stuff. Look at what she did with the homeless. Look at what she did with people about eating disorders.
Yeah.
And I say prenatal depression and so on, the postnatal depression, and various other things as well. Bulimia. She spoke all about this side.
She suffered with that, didn't she?
She did. It was terrible. And you know why that started? And apparently, she said one day, and it happens a lot to people, one day I think Charles called her a bit chubby. Apparently. But that, and I've heard from a number of people, we work with various eating disorder clinics as well.
It'll just take one comment.
Yeah, it's one comment where you're insecure about other things.
Yeah.
And it has that knock-on effect. But again, talking about it is the really powerful thing. So if there's ever that sort of legacy, and as people can bore about this sort of scandal and everything else, look at the really powerful stuff that she did. And I think if you
and
look
the landmines, that image of her,
absolutely,
and it really shone a light on Britain's part in selling landmines still to countries.
January 1997 it was, wasn't it? And just a few months before she passed.
Just before she passed.
In Angola. And she went there.
Yeah.
And I still picture this with that visor things on there.
Yeah.
And extraordinary. And again, what she did brilliantly is she used the press in a way that she can shine a spotlight
Which
on
is what
causes.
I thought Meghan was going to do. If we
I think, to be fair, and I like to play devil's advocate, I think she can turn it around in the same way. You remember... Oh, and I'll tell you why. You remember Camilla at the same time, where everybody loved Diana. Now, obviously, there are three in this marriage. It's a bit crowded.
See, I always
who's the
Camilla.
third? I know. Well, Camilla is brilliant. She's a patron of one of the charities that I'm involved with, UK Harvest.
I will
and
tell
she's
her I want
great.
to go out and get drunk with her one night.
I think she'll take you up. She'll come down. What are you doing at 4:05?
Yeah, I'm here. I fancy a night out with Camilla.
Well, and she's great. So, talking about turning it around, though, this is why I think Meghan she's got a lot of good in her, as well as the stuff which is going on at the moment. And it's talking. Somebody needs to talk. I think she has.
And I always look at the mental health side of things. I always look at it because I just feel like, although she is an actress and she seems ever so strong, I just think every person has feelings. And, you know, like in the Oprah interview, she said that she was depressed, that she had been depressed, and that she had, you know, suicidal thoughts. So for me, I always do look at that side of things, because although I don't agree with everything, I always just think underneath that she must be going through a lot, and Harry must be going through a lot.
And
so
celebrities, people in the public eye who can use their voice and platform to identify.
That's what I hoped from her.
Yeah. If you prick me, do I not bleed? If you tickle me, do I not laugh? I mean, if you say we are the same, underneath.
Yeah,
all
well,
this
I mean,
stuff.
but it's achingly, you know, hard to see this woman just refer everything back to herself when she could do so much good.
And it's an unfortunate. I mean, that unfortunate phrase about the comparison with Nelson Mandela, which, but it was. But to put it in context, what she said, and you have to ask why she said it. What she said is that somebody said to her that when she married somebody from the Lion King, cast member from the Lion King, I'm probably just being obsequious. When you got married to Prince Harry, we were dancing in the streets in the same ways we did when Nelson Mandela was freed. And now, I understand they may have said that. The question is, why did she choose to repeat that in that sort of stuff?
I mean, it's rather like, you know, if I was ever interviewed saying, do you know what, Andrew, it was really funny, because the other day somebody said to me, "Oh my God, Petrie, you're so beautiful and brilliant."
That was me who said that.
Yeah,
that was me, Queen of the Night.
That's just what they said. You know, I mean, it's a bit like that, isn't it?
It is a bit like that. So somebody needs...
She's upset South Africa.
No, but somebody needs to turn around and in the nicest possible way, it's like a PR manager would turn around and say, look, you can do a lot of good.
Yeah.
And I mentioned about Camilla reinventing herself and going for a drink with you at 4:05. What I love is that Meghan, I predicted, Meghan will turn around and be reinvented. I think what will happen, they all want to be loved, and it's very difficult. The backlash of the press here, and they're a bit unforgiving, and as I say, people work backwards, the press work backwards. Look for a bad story for Meghan.
She's been pretty cruel about the press.
Oh, no, I get that.
Yeah, you don't pick a fight with the press.
No, doesn't everybody know that? Yeah. But this is what it's all about. You know, 25 years ago, that was the battle.
Yeah,
you know, it was the press. So you say, has it changed? Well, they're still battling, the royals and the press. But they've got an agreement now on certain areas. So when we talk about the school kids and dropping them off, let's be clear about that. That's not the case. If further work needs to be done, I recognise it does need to be done, have a conversation, get round the table, because nowadays we can all work out. Let's work out. You've got your platform, let's do it for good as opposed to for bad.
And we love the Mariah Carey Carey's called her a diva.
Oh, I love Mariah Carey. Well, Mariah Carey fighting to be the Queen of Christmas. We've got the Queen of the Night here. It's perfect.
I've trademarked that.
I really, I'll help you as a lawyer.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah, good, excellent. No, I just hope that Diana, you know, if people do believe that you know there is a life after, or she's watching over, I don't hold those beliefs. But if people do, I just hope that she can sort her boys out, because they were her true legacy. Yeah. They were her true love. Yeah. Of her life,
and she would be upset that the two are not speaking to each other.
Yeah,
and she would be upset. Well, when does that ever happen?
Yeah.
But if they're going to do the bridge, the same about father. I mean, the other thing Meghan was talking about is that don't lose your father in the same way as I've lost mine. Yeah. And it's tragic because Thomas Markle had a stroke. He's Thomas Markle Jr.
But she didn't lose her father so much as throw him away.
Well, we don't know the full story. I mean, the full story is if your father sold a story about you or published your letters, you wouldn't be very happy about it. I don't think anybody behaved brilliantly in this
nobody's
scenario.
Covered themselves in glory.
And I think that's a fair comment. What is sad, though, it does sound as though he's had a stroke. His son, Thomas Jr., a bit of imagination, what you know him, he's applied for basically the same sort of thing that Britney had. So there's
conservatism.
So easy to say, easy for you to say at this time of the night. Conservatorship. Exactly. That's what. And that's basically it. So he's looking at that sort of side. So if anybody, and I'm a softie at heart, I believe that people should build bridges and patch up differences, because people are not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And I think we all go eventually, I would always encourage people to build bridges. George or not war.
Yeah.
Diana would want her sons to talk to each other. Yeah. She'd want them to see their father and not to fight and to continue her great legacy, because they're in a fantastic position to do that.
Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely. Great place to end that. Thank you both very much indeed. Hayley Palmer, entertainment reporter, and Andrew Eborn, president of Octopus TV. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Indeed.